First of all, I'd like to thank the Being for the opportunity to join you today. It's great to be here. There's a real vibe around the 2 days, and I'm sure that's going to continue. I think before I begin, I just would like for us all to just take a moment and once again acknowledge and celebrate the previous presenters, the organisers for this event. So let's give them a round of applause. This session is going to cover lots of stuff. My notes here, and you've got to love lived experience, because there's stuff written here, there's stuff that's been crossed out, there's stuff that's been changed. So I think you're in for a little bit of a ride between morning tea and lunch today. What I'm hoping is that this session can provide you with some curiosity, some inspiration, not just professionally but personally as well. When Fayaz and I spoke about doing this presentation, he said, I'd like you to do something a little bit different. And that's a good match because I'm a little bit different. Okay, so you've been pre-warned. So what we're going to have a look at is connected to you, your learning, and your professional future. But firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the welcome that Michael did yesterday. It was an amazing welcome. And also the Gadigal people, the people of this land in which we're meeting today, and pay my respects to elders both past, present and emerging. As part of this presentation, I've put on the site a whole list of resources. And there's one in particular that I really want to draw your attention to. There's a TED Talk, and it's provided by a UN man by the name of Jake Kennedy. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but what he does, he gives this beautiful perspective on a welcome to country, an acknowledgement to country. Many people look at welcome to country and acknowledgement of country. It has a much deeper meaning, and this talk will take your understanding and awareness to another level. It's really, really thought-provoking. I'd also like to acknowledge you all as peers as we come together today to share our lived experience journeys and connect with each other. I'd also like to acknowledge all people living with mental health issues and emotional distress for their strength and courage to challenge and face each day. You are the driving force we do at Being, and your voice matters and it is greatly appreciated. A little story. My connection. In recent times, and this has only been in the last couple of years, I've become aware that I may have First Nations blood running through my veins. So that's taken me off on a really beautiful journey. That connection to country comes from the land of the Wiradjuri people, the country of the 5 great inland rivers, from my origins in a place called Cowra in the Central West. I'm also connected to the Yuin and Monaro people, the place I call home on the far south coast of New South Wales. It's the land of the Bundian Way. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Bundian Way. It's the only time I'm going to allow you to Google something during this presentation. And I'll explain why. It's one of the greatest and oldest trading routes in the world. It stretches from Targangal, which is Mount Kosciuszko, to a place called Bulgalara, which is Twofold Bay in Eden. It covers 350 kilometres, and we call it from the mountains to the sea. It's really hoped that in the next few years it will actually be opened up for further exploration and become a major tourist attraction. The beautiful thing about it is that the First Nations people not only used it as a trading route themselves, but when European settlers came into the area, they showed them the path so that they could actually, so people could move goods from the Monero down to the wharves. So a beautiful piece of history, really important. The Yuin and Monaro people have welcomed me to the land, their homes, their culture and their hearts. I feel really grateful to have that gift of connection with them. And I also want to acknowledge them today. Particularly a really good mate of mine. I call him a friend and a mentor. He's a Ewan elder, and his name is Pastor Uncle Ozzie Cruz. He's a beautiful man. Now there's a link in the resources. You can tell I was a school teacher. The video, I think it's the second one down, it's called The Black Ducks. Now the black duck is actually a totem for the Yuin people. But it's called We Are the People from the Mountains to the Sea. And the students and elders made it with our professional media company when I was the principal of Eden Marine High School as a way of voicing their challenges and connecting to their country. And it goes for about 3 minutes, but you will love it. It's a beautiful celebration of Yuin and Monaro culture. So that's my connection. So I guess what I'm going to try and do today is to bring to you some of my lived experience, my journey, my way, and bring it to you today. All right, let's start with the funky stuff. A little bit of mystery and intrigue. All right, if anyone knows anything about kanji symbols, they have different meaning depending upon how they're put together. That's really cool stuff. This is really important to me, and you're not going to find out why until the end of the presentation. Just saying, and don't Google it. All right, I'm watching you. Mazagatsu Agatsu. It's Japanese. All right, and you'll see, hopefully by the end of this presentation, why this is really important to me. And I'll go out on a limb here and I'll say, I think it's going to be important to you. All right. So, I've got to be honest with you. It's been a while since I've spoken to a large group like this, and I think a couple of the other speakers have had the same experience. So, what I'd like to do is invite you to do a little breathing exercise with me, just to allow me to sit comfortable in the space. You don't have to stand up, you don't have to do anything. We are trauma informed here, so don't worry. So what I'm going to do is walk you through this. It'll be just like a guided, quiet breathing exercise. It takes 2 minutes. All right, here we go. So if you can, face me. If you can't, don't worry about it. All right? The next thing I want you to do is find a comfortable sit. I love that. My yoga teacher says that all the time, and I think it's really cool. I just wanted to put it in the presentation. And then you can have your legs crossed, whatever. Just relax. Now, just notice any tension that you might have in your body right now. That's cool. Just let it be, but just notice it. Place your hands by your sides or your lap, whatever's comfortable. You can lean forward. Try and keep your back straight if you can, because that's good for breath. I also want you to just raise your head a little bit. Tilt it up slightly, maybe to the top of the screen. Now, if you want to, close your eyes, but you don't have to. It's only if you're comfortable to do so. Now, when you close your eyes, you might actually find with your head tilted that your eyes will start to flutter. That's really cool because you're tapping into your neural pathways. It's a really good sign. It's a really good sign. Okay, so what I want you to do is just to start with a natural breath through the nose, out through the nose, slowly inhale, exhale. Just your own pace. Now I want you to try and start to smooth out the breath. Because sometimes when we're breathing in and out, we tend to stop. And then there's a bit of a gasp when the next part comes. Just let it flow. Just think of a circle. It's rolling around, rolling around. Now, take your time. All right. So now, what I'd like you to do is a little sequence with the breath. Breathe in with a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just do that a couple of times yourself. Relax. Just go through it. Don't go to sleep on me. Last thing. Now what I'd like you to do is picture a square in front of your face. And the square obviously has 4 sides. Now starting on that bottom left-hand corner of the square, and as you look at each corner, as you look at each side of the square, it lights up. So use the square to do the count. Starting on the bottom corner. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Top of the square. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down the other side of the square. 1, 2, 3, 4. And to the bottom of the square, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, open your eyes and relax. Wasn't too bad, was it? Simple, but can be quite effective, and it's just a little thing you can use. All right, we better get into this presentation because we've got lots to cover. I've got a bit of a shout out. Those from the Endeavour Clubhouse at Port Macquarie, put your hand up. All right. Can we get these guys some chocolates, please? I've got chockies, guys. All right, they need at least 2 chocolates each, please. Really important. Just them? No, just them at this stage. The other guys have got to earn them. These guys have earned theirs. And they know why. And I know why. A little story, and I've got lots of these, but I'm not going to be able to tell them all today. These guys at Port Macquarie, they work with people from the Endeavour Clubhouse, a fantastic community-driven organisation. Their CEO is a fellow by the name of Robert Moorehead. He's my elder brother. All right, and as a couple of people pointed out yesterday, the difference between the two is I'm the smart and the good-looking one. Thank you so much for that yesterday. Yeah?
I know it's chocolate now, come on.
Well, okay. But it is really interesting around, you talk about those 6 degrees of separation and lived experience of mental health. Here we are, my brother and I. He's in his mid-60s. I'm just about to tip over to that big 60. And our pathways in life have taken us into the mental health sector together, which I think is really, really exciting. And he's probably the most passionate guy you would ever meet in terms of, working with people with complex mental health needs. It's fantastic. I wouldn't say that to him, but yeah. So, look, as I said, today's presentation, I've got to keep remembering to use the slides because I talk too much. Sorry about that. I'll go back one. Today's presentation is going to be trauma-informed, strength-based and recovery-focused. But I do have a confession. The older I get and the more connected I get to my true self. There are times when I'm not really good at following rules. So today, as you can probably notice, I can get a bit excited. I'm known to be a bit naughty. So you guys need to help me out. I know these guys are going to keep me on task and on time, but a little bit of audience participation is a good thing. All right, I'm up for a chat, so I will be here at lunchtime. Catching a plane later this afternoon, but if you want to catch up and talk about a few things, that's cool as well. So as I said, my name's Ian and I'm a bit different. I'm up to a few things right now. I work as a freelance peer educator for the Being Leadership Academy. I'm also writing and developing some coursework in the mental health sector, particularly credentialed and non-credentialed courses for peer workers. Now, 3 days a week I'm employed by a large NGO as a complex case manager, and I work with the most vulnerable people in the community, and that includes domestic and family violence, homelessness, drug and alcohol, serious mental health, violent and aggressive, high risk end behaviour. I work with the clients the other services can't because they're above their threshold. As you can appreciate, I only do that 3 days a week because it's challenging, very rewarding, but very challenging. Now, previous to this, I had a probably fairly successful 30-year career in public education, including being a principal of 2 secondary schools, chairing a local education group of 14 primary schools and 3 high schools, and relieving as an education director for the far south coast, where I had the responsibility of over 30 schools. Right now I'm working with a team establishing a safe haven connected with the Southern Health District out of the Southeast Area Hospital in Bega, and I'm also a member of the Suicide Prevention Action Network. In my spare time, I actually run a small woodworking business, and as mentioned, I'm a karate instructor in the style of Goju. I'm a husband, I'm a dad, and I'm a grandfather. So my wife loves this phrase. She says, grandkids are so much fun. She said, if I'd known they were this much fun, I'd have had them first. Which I think is really cool. So look, the structure of what we're going to do today is to cover some thought-provoking material that I hope it's going to challenge you. There's going to be some activities. There's the handout, I've mentioned that. There's also a professional learning plan pro forma which you've got. I want you to scribble all over that. And let's go. All right, we're going to cover some stuff on education and learning. I'm going to talk about the Being Leadership Academy. I'm going to talk about leadership. I'm going to talk about developing a professional learning plan. I'm going to talk about peer careers, opportunities and pathways. I'm going to talk about Sanshin. Everything's gone quiet. So we've got a lot to do. Education and learning. What's it all about? In Japanese, in karate, we have a term called senpai kohai. Senpai is the teacher, kohai is the learner. And you would think in Japanese culture, in terms of structures and things, that would be a linear arrangement. It's not. It's not. We are all teachers and we are all learners. So when I go in to that Little Ninjas class, when I am instructing 3 and 4-year-olds, and as someone said earlier, it's a bit like herding cats, all right? I am learning from them as much as they are learning from me. And the reason for that is it's a learning attitude. My attitude to learning is that we are lifelong learners, that we should love learning. We should have a learning attitude and explore that. That's really important. And we should nurture and challenge our learning all the time. Formal and informal learning. Well, look, I know there's a real focus on formal learning, this training, that credential, that certificate, and I acknowledge that's really important. But it's the capacity for learning through a whole diverse range of learning experiences. That's the key. That's what's more important. You know, when I talk to peer workers out there and they go, oh, you know, I've got lived experience, but I'm really worried about doing this credential and that credential, and what do you think I need to do next, Dean, and all that sort of stuff. I just say, tell me a story. What other things have you done? Draw on those learning experiences. You've already got so much stuff, but you probably haven't mind mapped it all out so that you can unpack it and bring it into your peer role. It's beautiful. That's one of the really special things about being a peer worker. You've got the lived experience, but you're bringing in all that other stuff you've done as well. And these credentials and other things, yeah, that's probably a benchmark, and that's important for status in the industry and those sorts of things and getting the job. But it's the other fundamental stuff that's really important. I've got a really interesting story to tell you about learning and leadership a bit later. Okay. Acknowledging life's experiences. That's the good ones and the bad ones. What have we learnt from those? That's really important. That's really important. How do we apply that to our learning? And the feedback. The whole loop of learning is very, very important. How do we share our learning? One of the beautiful things about the last day and a half is the amount of shared learning that's been going on here, guys. You know, it's a really, really important experience. All right. Put your hand up if you've done a course through the Being Leadership Academy. All right, all members of the Brady Bunch, well done, that's great. Good on you guys. Hands down, that's terrific. Really good. So what's the Being Leadership Academy all about? I hear you ask. No, that's okay. So the Being Leadership Academy offers a range of short courses and workshops developed to enhance knowledge, build skills, and open education pathways for people living with mental health issues in Australia. And the focus of the Being Leadership Academy is to deliver consumer-led, progressive and inclusive education. Through a collaborative approach to adult education, Being Leadership Academy aims to engage with learners, share knowledge and open opportunities while fostering positive relationships with our diverse community. So that's what we do. And this is how we do it. We do it through a range of what are called learning pathways. I've got a bit of a shout out here. My partner in crime, Mishu, who's the learning lead at the Being Leadership Academy, he does all the hard stuff. He does all the, the work around putting the courses together. I get to do the fun stuff. Okay? We do co-facilitate because that's really important, because that creates a safe space for everybody. But I pretty much just go and do the show and go, and he's done all the work in the background. So I just wanted to acknowledge him today. He does a terrific job. All right, so the learning pathways or the learning platform looks like this. We have a speak up level, which is an introductory session level. And what we've done is we've developed and delivered courses to connect with learners, provide evidence-based content in a safe, collaborative learning environment delivered via Zoom. And it might be a little bit hard to see, but some of the courses we do are things like Introduction to Zoom, Defining Frames of Recovery, Introduction to Peer Work, which I think that's the one that Ben did back in probably about September last year. Introduction to Advocacy, Sharing Lived Experience, Effective Communication. It's really, really exciting because we have, and just taking that step, and again, lived experience, to have a consumer enrol in a course and then engage with this environment. And Zoom is not necessarily the greatest trauma-informed environment either, is a huge step, a real positive. And we celebrate and acknowledge that. And we say to them, if you don't want to turn your camera on, don't. Window shop. Just sit and listen. And then the next time they do a course, they might put the video on, but not talk. And by the third or the fourth session, we're starting to get a really higher level of engagement. It's terrific. We have people wanting to know, what's peer work all about? I've gone through and I've reached a stage in my mental health recovery, in my journey, that I'm starting to get really passionate. I want to maybe become a peer worker. So they do the intro to Peer Work 1 and 2. And all of a sudden, they've got some greater insights and understandings of it. So stepping stones, we call them stepping stones of learning, filling the gaps. So, this is the current area, which is the Peer Up. So, in recent times, in the last couple of months, we've started to develop and deliver specific courses for peers, building on the Speak Up platform. So we call it Peer Up. And we're doing things like advocacy skills for peer workers, understanding co-design, work around committees, communication skills again, developing a professional learning plan. Wow, there it is, it's in front of you today. Self-advocacy for peers. And it's building. And it's up to the peers to talk to Being through that collaborative co-design process to drive what might be considered next. And that's an old slide. So the leadership development focus actually is a work in progress. All right, so those things that are listed there are not quite right, so don't look at them. All right? They are a little bit of a teaser for what might be happening around the corner. But the important thing is what we're trying to do is to create learning opportunities to build knowledge, awareness, capacity and confidence in learning. So, might be nearly time for a story. Leadership. I'm really excited about leadership because I'm actually working with a number of people in the sector to develop some leadership materials that's actually credentialed. So it's coming out of our learning package. You can use it, you can count it for RPL and all that other good stuff. My challenge was it needed to be contextualised into the mental health space. All right, so that's where I've been doing the work. And I know there's a couple of people here today that have been working with some groups and they've been trialling and looking at some stuff, and that feedback's really important. So, it's all secret stuff at this stage, so I can't tell you too much about it, but keep an eye out around about August, September, because there could be some packages coming out that's going to have a specific leadership focus, some higher order skills around maybe advocacy, mentoring, coaching, organisational leadership. Some really good stuff coming out. Oh, the story. Come on, guys, keep me on track. Leaders are made, not born. Is that true? Right. Some of you just don't know. That's okay. It's a very quiet class. It's good. Good. Maybe not good. All right, I've got a story for you. I was growing up in Cowra. I had a really good friend, and we're still great friends now. But I don't know, how would I put this? He wasn't a really good learner. He was struggling with his learning. And now, in hindsight, as it worked out, was his learning progress was just not a developmental thing. And when you're an educator and you understand how people learn, some people actually will learn progress more in their learning later in life. This whole notion of learning at school, I mean, I'm out of the system now, I can say this, I'm not part of public education anymore, but it's a terrible, locked-in system. I get why, but anyway. So anyway, this guy left school, really struggled, didn't get much for HSC, worked for a year, working the lollipops on the road. Okay, great. Decided he wanted to go in the police force, Federal Police in Canberra. Down to Canberra, because it's only about 2.5 hours from Cowra. Just got in. All right? He decided he was going to make a career in the Federal Police. So, he went through, he started off as a uniformed officer. Then he got onto the motorbikes. That was pretty cool in Canberra because he got to drive around all the diplomatic cars and all that sort of stuff. That was great. Then he went into highway patrol. Then he thought, well, as a uniformed cop, it's not going to go very far. So I need to switch into the detectives. So he went into the detectives. He became a detective. Then after becoming a detective, he became a senior detective. All right? And he worked his way up through the system. And he became the Commissioner of the Australian Federal Police. Tony Negus, his name is. Yeah. When we're developing a professional learning plan, the philosophy versus the reality. If you've been a part of an organisation to do a professional learning plan, you're doing it because it's something you have to do. All right? It's not a good start. So my point is, this is something you take ownership of, you take responsibility of it, rather than it being a HR requirement. Yep? So I'm going to suggest to you that if you have an authentic professional learning plan, it's going to be a great tool for you in navigating your professional future. That's really, really important. So, whilst I'm going through this part, because this is a bit of chalk and talk here, what I want you to do is scribble all over your sheet. So, in a professional learning plan, and I don't want you to be overawed with any of this stuff, because some of this will be part of the presentation, and I actually cover this in some of the leadership stuff that's going to be coming out in August. So if you miss it, don't worry. All right, so I'm going to run through some considerations that provide a framework for a plan, but you've got to adapt them to suit your professional learning needs. The first thing is, take responsibility. You find your line manager and you say, I want to have a conversation with you about my professional learning. All right, flip it. Now, when I used to have all my stuff in all my schools, I used to work on two types of documents. I really like well-loved documents. When people bring their professional learning plan to me, I want to see the coffee stains, I want to see the bits scratched out, I want to see the bits in pencil, I want to see the funny stick figures. I want something that's well-loved because it's being used, you're working it. I don't want a warm one. Do you know what a warm one is? I'm not being rude. A warm one is one that's straight out of the photocopy and it's still warm and you get it. Because oh, I've got to do this learning plan. Oh, I haven't done it for 12 months. Lucky I've got it saved on my USB. I print it out, maybe change the date, and I take it into the boss, and when we sit down and we're going through it, it's still warm. No, that doesn't work. All right? So that's a little bit of a litmus test for you. All right. So identifying values, really, really important. Now, look, there's a diverse range of tools that can assist you in values. I find, work out your own way to do that. There's many ways you can do it. This process is actually really significant to me, values, because it's supported my mental health recovery. This is a bit about me here. In fact, I'm so keen about my values, I have them tattooed all over my body in kanji symbols. I have things like, and there's a few of them, honour, compassion, respect, loyalty, integrity, faith, hope, and I throw a few others in as well. I've got destiny in there. I've got mind, body, spirit, down both arms. It's a great conversation starter when you go down the beach and someone comes up to you and say, hey, old fella, you got a bit of ink on you there. What's that all about? So we start having a bit of a conversation. Peer workers ask me and they say, how do you talk about your lived experience? How do I do that properly in a trauma-informed way? And I say, watch, listen, and the opportunity will appear. It's all about timing. It's all about when it's appropriate. That's part of my deal. I can gather conversations and I can lead that into a mental health discussion. When I was getting these tattoos, the kids used to say, Dad, have you checked your meds lately? You reviewed your meds? You're going to get some more tattoos? All right? And I've got to come back to that. And my comeback to that is, guys, it's mandatory to grow old. It's not mandatory to grow up. Okay? So you can use that. Yeah. I've actually taken those values and what you can do is you can take those values into then and look at your organisational values. I'll let you on a little secret. When I had a look at maybe working with being, the thing that attracted me to it was looking at the organisational values and the way those values align to my personal values. You guys are working in a really challenging sector, but if you've got that alignment going on, it makes the whole profession, what you're actually doing, I guess so much easier. So something to think about. I've even got a values mantra that I use and sort of check on a regular basis, and I've just got to be careful getting this out because it's on the other side of this bit of paper. It's got my wife's bank details on it, so I don't want to read out the wrong thing. Okay, 4 things. This is me. Quality time with quality people. Happy and healthy life. Greater inner peace. I think we all can get that one with lived experience. And the last one is pursue passions with enthusiasm and curiosity. That's me. I carry it around in my wallet all the time. Sometimes I have to remind myself. All right, so a statement of intent. What's that all about? You'll notice on your pro forma, there's a little section at the top. You won't have a lot of room to write this in because this pro forma is not designed to be something you use. I want you to take this away, extend it out, play with it, format it any way you want. But a statement of intent is an individual statement that provides an authentic context and background to enable greater understanding. It's your why. It's really important. Really important. Clear, authentic, values-based, an opportunity to personalise it. Really important. When we start talking about goals, integrate those values into the goals. Use that SMART acronym, simple, measurable, achievable, realistic, timing, really important. Have professional goals and clarify with your organisation because there's probably some stuff there that they would like to put in and that's cool, but still make it about you. But throw in a personal one as well because it really does help contextualise it. It's authentic, it meets your needs. And don't be afraid to project yourself into your sort of future learning. Take ownership of it. Achievable and realistic outcomes. Really, really important. What tools and strategies, education and training are you going to put into that? It's a mechanism to make it happen. Professional networks, communities of practice. Think outside the square. Take responsibility, take control. And as it was said earlier, look, one of the obligations you guys have, it's a challenge. You need to make a concerted effort and commitment to attend professional network events. They're a great source of support, collegiality and professional learning. Now I know those of us that live in the bush, that can be a big deal because you might have to travel 5 hours to a meeting, but it's going to be worthwhile. The next one is having a timeline for change is really important. Have agreed time points because that helps with the accountability. Really, really important. And check in on it because the plan's going to change and you're going to have to rewrite stuff. That's where all the scribbling comes in. It's really cool. Oh, and by the way, when we talk about this next one, self-appraisal and feedback, I just want to make something really clear. A professional learning plan is not a tool for performance management. Right? So you are accountable to you and obviously your organisation around the professional learning aspect of it, but it's not about other aspects of performance. That is a completely separate process. It's really important that that's authentic. All right, so I've sort of raced through that a little bit. How are we going for time? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I've sort of covered a range of these other areas, identifying and clarifying the personal values, reflecting and reviewing, aligning it to organisational values, having a moral compass. I've talked about a values mantra. We've talked about the statement of intent, the why, structured goal setting, simple, measurable, achievable, realistic, well-timed. Professional goals, clarify your professional goals first, then align them to the organisation. Personal goals, meeting your needs. We've talked about achievable and realistic outcomes, tools, strategies, education and training to support professional learning. Those that you identify, those your organisation identify, networks and communities, review and change, milestones. It's pretty good actually because there's a lot of content here and I apologise for that, but I'm a bit relieved because I did remember that it's in this other package that's coming up and that's going to be pretty good promotion for that, hopefully if you like this stuff anyway. Does it make sense, by the way? Because I'm just, as I said, I'm a bit different. I just power on and, sorry. All right, tools for review, seeking feedback, not a tool for performance management. Taking ownership, taking responsibility for yourself. And there is, of course, there is still high levels of accountability. That's important. That's part of making it authentic. Otherwise, it sits in the drawer. Yeah, you get it out, or it gets forgotten. How many times in organisations where it's actually ended up the organisation's policy that they're supposed to be reviewed at least twice a year, and your boss hasn't mentioned it for the last 3 years, and think, beauty, I might be able to get through another year, and he's not going to say anything. That sort of thing. I go, no way. All right. Let's look at career opportunities. I'm really grateful. I've had a number of careers. I've been really fortunate. I'm really passionate about the work I'm doing in the peer work space. That's great because I can bring all my educational stuff and other things into it. But my time is moving on. It's going to be up to you guys. So I'm looking at a lot of this as looking back. You guys are looking at this as looking forward. All right? We need you to step up. We need peer educators. That's what we need. You don't have to have a degree in education to be a peer educator. If you can get on to doing a TAE, even though it is the most, oh my God, it's so much work, but It's worthwhile because the qualification allows you to really delve into those credential courses and really, get into that space, that education space. Even though it's a challenge to do it, it's one that I do recommend that people, if you're looking to go into that area. But what I want you to think about, and we talk to consumers about this or those others with lived experience, it's not just about peer work, sorry, I don't want to burst your bubble, but in the peer space, peer work is not the only career, and you need to think of this as well. So there's peer advocacy. What does that look like? I've got people with lived experience doing courses that are going to university and they're doing research and they're challenging legislation around the mental health sector. They want to advocate to that point. That's pretty powerful stuff. That's an option. Peer education, highly recommend it. It's a hoot. It really is. I get a buzz out of it every day. But that's just me. Leadership. So much in that leadership space that you can pursue. There's just so many opportunities. I guess what I'm trying to do is say, and I think it was mentioned earlier, the rapid growth in the mental health sector in peer work. There are going to be jobs in the peer space that haven't even been created yet. And I know that's a little bit of a statement that's used, tossed around a fair bit, but it's going to happen in the next few years. I've already been approached by some private organisations that have suggested that they might like some peer workers working in their organisations. They might have a workforce of 2,000 people. How many of those people in that workforce have already now got a lived experience of mental health? Yep. Exactly. You look at what's happened in recent times. I'm not going to go into all that because this is trauma-informed. But opportunities for the future. Your opportunities for the future. Don't be locked into a base horizon. It's really important. There's lots of exciting opportunities there. Lots of exciting opportunities. All right. I've got a few minutes. I really want to do this. Sunshin. All right. Anyone seen The Karate Kid? Put your hand up if you've seen The Karate Kid. What's the name of the Karate Kid's instructor? Give that man a chocolate. Did you know that The Karate Kid was based on the style of Goju Karate? And the founder of Goju Karate was a fellow by the name of Miyagi Chogan. And he brought karate from China to the island of Okinawa. How about that? How about that? All right. Do you know what karate means? All right. Empty hand. It's usually referred to as karate do. All right. So that means empty hand way. Goju. Go means hard. Ju means soft. You put it all together, it starts to make sense. Sunshin is a kata. You saw the Olympics, there were two events. There was the kumite, where everyone gets, points scoring. Not real fond of that soft stuff for points. The other one was kata. Beautiful dance-like movements, sequences of strikes and blows and blocks and kicks and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to do any of that today. I'm nearly 60, right? Sunshin. What is Sunshin? Ich, ni, san. So it's three. Cool. Shin. Battles. Why is this important? This is why it's important. This is what the three battles are. Body. Mind. Spirit. Doesn't that float your boat? And at any one time, if any of those three are out of sequence, you're not travelling as good as you could. Sometimes they're all out of whack. Now I'm going to demonstrate this to you, and what we were going to do today if we had the space is I was going to get you guys to do this. All right, you can do this in the shower. You only need a space of 1 metre by 1 metre to do Sunshin. It can never be perfected though. The simplest kata, a black belt kata, can never be perfected. And the reason is, it's not just about the kata, the movements, it's about the breath that goes with it. You intrigued? No? So, Sanchin. This is my instructor. Actually, the instructor, actually. I don't know if you've noticed, you've seen him before. You've seen him, picture might be familiar. His name is Constantino Sobrano. He's got a pretty famous daughter by the name of Kate Sobrano. Yeah. He's the father of Australian karate. He's a 9th Dan black belt of the International Goju Karate Association. So, and we're going to be trauma informed today, so I'm not going to take the shirt off and stand under a waterfall. I have done this in the middle of winter in just the bottom of Magee, in the water, in the sand, with the ocean coming in, because that's what it's all about. It's about what's in your mind, not what's going on around you. Yeah? And if I get a chance to do this today, and I'm trying to do it quickly in a minute, you might find that I disappear for a minute, because I will go into my space. And that space isn't here. And that really helps me in my recovery. All right, when I'm having a bad day, because I can do this in the shower, it's pretty cool. All right. Tino has a saying, the place where you work out, the dojo, which is where we train, he calls it the place where you work out the rest of your life. Yeah? Getting involved in things like karate is pretty cool, because you can leave your baggage at the door and everyone's the same. Kids, people from all sorts of walks of life. We learn together. I'm an instructor. I'm a 3rd Dan black belt instructor, and I learn stuff all the time because it's feedback. All right? If Ben's my student, or heaven forbid, if Butch was my student, that'd be a challenge. All right? And I'm showing them a guitar and they're not getting it right, that's not their problem. That's not their learning. That's my teaching. I need to break it down. I need to make it better. That's important. All right, so, by the way, can you remember some other things in the movies?
Wax on, wax off.
The cars, wax on, wax off. Yeah? What else? Paint the fence. Yeah? Paint the fence. Yeah? Sand the floor. All right? They're all techniques. They're all Goju techniques, and some of them are in this guitar. All right. Huh? Oh, the bonsai. I'm not going to stand up like a, Oh, you know that? He does that in the last move, He's up on one leg and he's standing here like this, Sagiashi Dachi, and he does the kick, That's pretty cool. All right, so what I want to do is, because I'm conscious of time and I just want to finish this off at the end. Now, I'm going to do the guitar for you. When I do it, don't worry, because in the resources, there's two, and it's really cool because there's a very young, very athletic Japanese instructor, and he does it very slowly. You can learn this. I teach this to 3-year-olds. You guys should be able to do it, right? And there's also a second section which is on the breathing. Now I'm going to do it with the breathing, the hard breathing. It's called inibuki. All right? Now the reason for it is mind, body, spirit. This is the hara. This is where your ki is. This is your life force. You have to protect this in battle. Your breathing protects you here. So when I do this and I breathe, I'm protecting myself. All right? In inibuki. Okay? So, you ready? You ready?
Yes.
Ah, finally, they have a voice. All right. Might just get you to grab that for me. Thank you. All right. Yeah, so these are the values down that side, and there's values down that side, and there's other bits and pieces on me, and I'll get to those ones right at the end. All right, so this is what it looks like. I'll show you how you can do it, and you can practice it yourself. You're standing here with your feet shoulder width apart. You're going to take one short step forward, both hands cross over each other into a double parry block. So that's your first stance, all right? Not hard. Left hand comes straight back, straight out, and then just roll it over like a windshield wiper. And you're going to take a little step. And you're going to do the same on that hand. See, it's not hard, is it? Huh? Then you're going to take another little step. So that's 3 steps. So you're right up against the front of the shower now. All right? out, in. Now you've got to turn round, which is a bit tricky. So what you're going to do is you pull this hand out, goes underneath, you're going to step across, and I'm going to be really rude, but only for a minute because I'm going to turn my back to you, okay? I step across, I turn around, and I'm going the other way, and then I step. I'm going to come back to you now, don't panic. Here, around, step across again. Here we are, back again. And I do the same. It's pretty repetitive, like you're going to get it. And this is where it changes a little bit. Here, yep. No step this time. There. Stop. Join it. Pull back. Here. Stop. Pull back. Here. Stop. Pull back. Here. Now we step back. This is a bit of a fancy move, a bit of drama. Right, you roll it around. This is actually deflecting a punch or a strike and a kick, and you swing it around. So that's the defense. And then you come here. This is actually a strike, a very lethal strike. This is slamming into the nerve endings in the shoulder. This is into the femoral artery. All right, it's done properly. It's akin to running into a brick wall. Yeah, here. Once, we step back, twice, and then we finish. And that's it. That's it. So, but what I'm going to do now is show you how to do it. And sorry, you guys in the front, I don't want to get scary with you or anything like that. So as I said, I'll disappear for a while. I'll do the second one because I think I've got time. Yeah, okay. It's called Tensho, which is, so Sanshin is the hard, Tensho is the soft. Yeah? All right. Kata, Sanshin, Higadachi, oi! Hajimai! Hoi! That's it. Now, all right, I'll just quickly show you the second one. Now, there's some really cool YouTube, when it's done at demonstrations around the world, because you get tested, that's why your shirt's off. People will whack you and kick you and do that sort of stuff because it's all about what's going on in here and try and trick you to get you to fall over. There are ones, particularly the Okinawan ones, where they've got a staff, which is a bow, a wooden stick, big wooden stick like this, and they hit you with the wooden stick and the stick breaks. It's pretty amazing. Mind over matter. All right, just quickly, now this is Tensho. This is the soft, all right? Kata, Tensho, Higadachi, oi! Hajimai. Close enough. All right, now we've got to finish up, but Mazagatsu agatsu. This is important to me. It's the tattoo on the inside of my forearm, one of my many. It's the only tattoo of mine that faces me. All the others are on the outside. Faces out. This faces in. Because I want to wake up and I want to see this every day. Because this is important. This is why it's important. That's what it means. Mazagatsu agatsu, the greatest victory is the victory within. Very important. I think I'm out of time, but thanks guys, it's been fun. Hope you're challenged, intrigued, enjoy. At some point in time, if people, I'm happy to give out email addresses and phone numbers, not my work ones of course, but if you just want to catch up at other times to do things. So I just want to make sure that you guys are empowered to really progress yourselves in your own careers, in your own professional journeys. All right, but there's an accountability and a responsibility as well. All right, because you are really well positioned. It's exciting, it's challenging. All right, but it's up to you. Thank you.